Namaste, Swamiji. So happy to have you today among us. Ladies and gentlemen, certainly one more event on the wisdom, Indian wisdom. And I know everybody is continuously inquiring more than even when we get the management experts. People are inquiring, we want to have management from the spiritual leaders. And that's where certainly I have to thank Mahendra Bhai first, that under his center, AMA Center, Mamta AMA Center of Indian Wisdom, that we have been doing these programs for such a long time. Yeah. So today we have the pleasure of Swamiji, and probably I can say he would be the youngest among all of us, probably in the auditorium. On the knowledge side, certainly he's the most knowledgeable among all of us in the auditorium, also as much. So happy to have you, Swamiji. Everybody here certainly knows you, but I need to do the formality of introducing you. Shri Dushyanth, Sridhar, and certainly thanks to Jatin Bhai and Gopi. They are our executive and friends of AMA, but so happy that they got Swamiji over here today, and thank you, Jatin Bhai and Gopi also. So, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar is a distinguished scholar and one of the most sought after public speakers in Sanatan Dharma, delivering discourses in English and Tamil on scriptures like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita. Known for his engaging Upanyasam and Pravachan styles, he collaborates with eminent artists to blend storytelling with Harikatha and Katha Nritya traditions. With over 3,500 discourses in 125 cities across 23 countries, he reaches a global audience further amplified by 100 million YouTube views and appearances on prominent national TV channels. An accomplished author, his works include the national bestseller Ramayanam Volume 1 and critically acclaimed Vedanta Desika, the peerless poet preceptor. He is prominent voice in promoting spiritual knowledge through discourses, publications, and collaborations. So we welcome Swamiji, and I'll welcome Swamiji with a token of love that he's here. But Swamiji, I have a question because I may not get the microphone again. So nobody wants. As a Swamiji, I have a question that because I also try to listen and hear to many discourses, that when we talk about Hanuman, the supreme devotee, the question that always arises to me that a devotee certainly is somebody who surrenders, right? So is this the willpower that creates a devotee to surrender, or is that the surrendering creates the willpower in a devotee that yes, he lasts long? So maybe that question always arises: what comes first, or is it the combination of the two? But thank you. That I will leave it to you, and I am sure we'll get a lot of answers in the course of your enlightening us. And thanks again. I'll give you this token. Over to you, Swami.
रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्धना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलं वाल्मीकेर्मुनिसिंहस्य कवितावनचारिणः शृण्वन् रामकथानादं को न याति परां गतिं वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदः प्राचेतसादासीत् साक्षाद् रामायणात्मना अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्का भयङ्करं मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आञ्जनेयमदिपाठलाननं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् नमः सदसे नमः सभायै. A very good evening to the Astikas who have gathered in this very distinct premises of the Ahmedabad Management Association. It is quite very unusual to have a topic and its delineation of this type in a August hall such as this. Kudos to the people of the organizing team for having put this together, and accolades to all the audience to have found time on such a beautiful Sunday evening to be present, to listen to one of the iconic, historic characters of Srimad Ramayanam called Hanuman. Interestingly, when we deal with the incidents that we have bequeathed as a rigmarole, we can say that these incidents have all happened before Ramayanam. See, we have been told time and again of Matsyavataram, Kurmavataram, Varaha Nrisimha, Vamana, then there is Parashurama and Rama. So if you probably, you visit the 11th century UNESCO stepwell constructed by Udayamati for Bhima the first of the Chaulukya dynasty near Patan, which is found on a 100 rupee note in Gujarat, you will find beautiful patterns of Dashavataram. Ichamina Viharakachapa Mahapotrin Yadricha Harehe Rakshavamana Rosharama Karunaka Kutstha Helahalin Krida Vallabha Kalkavahana Dasha Kalkinnitif Pratyaham. You will find all these Dashavatarams depicted. So the avatars that I've mentioned, which is Matsya Kurma Varaha Nrisimha Vamana Parashurama, till Parashurama Vamana Avataram, all this happened before Rama. If you take up the exploits of Paramashiva, Mahadeva, Namaste astu bhagavan Vishweshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. This is how Shatarudriyam begins, because Shatarudriyam is a bhagam of Krishna Yajurveda. Before that, we do a Dhyana Shloka. If you look at the exploits of Shiva, like the killing of Andhakasura, killing of Gajasura, killing of the three fortresses called Tripurantaka, Dakshayagnya Samharam, all this happened before Ramavataram. If you look at the classic case of Mahishasura Mardini, which is mentioned in Markandeya Vamana Puranams, that too happened before Ramavataram. With so many incidents that are iconic, that are extremely inspiring, that happened before Ramavataram, trust me, the first avataram which was narrated in a poetry was Ramavataram. All this which happened before Ramavataram was narrated after Ramavataram. It was recorded much later. But the first ever recording of an incident by an honest journalist called Valmiki. I know these two words may seem like an oxymoron, honest journalist. So, but still, you had such people living in India at one point in time. So, he recorded the incidents as is. He did not make it a concoction. He did not want to change certain incidents. He knew he had to report as is. If Rama has shot Vali while standing from behind the tree, he reported. He knew there will be public debates even in 9 o'clock channels. Why Rama did this? But he was unperturbed. He said, if I am a journalist, I have to report as is. He could have simply, control X, control V, Agni Pariksha. He could have just cut. Who's going to question him? You didn't have a CCTV camera then. But he chose to narrate it because he wanted to be honest. So Ramayanam is an honest retelling. Well, incidents in life don't happen in poetic style. They are narrated in poetry. But incidents don't happen that way. See, if you look at Ramayanam, when Lakshmana goes and asks his mother Sumitra, Mata, my brother and my sister-in-law are ordained to live in the forest Dandakaranyam for 14 years. I wish their stay was extremely full of grandeur and gay. So while I have to leave with them, because I need to serve them, aham sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate sabhratus charanau gadham nipidya raghunandanaha sitamuvachatishayam raghavam cha mahavratam aham sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate. I need to do all possible services to the both of them, irrespective of whether it is day or night. This is what Lakshmana says. Then he goes to his mother Sumitra and asks, what should I do? The mother says, you have made a grave mistake. Lakshmana thought, I thought you were a very magnanimous mother, but you seem to express reservations about me accompanying my brother and sister-in-law. What kind of apprehensions do you have? She said, by now you should have left. Why did you even come and ask me? Now that you've come and asked me, I'm duty bound to say something. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi Gachatata Yathasukam. Gachatata, my dear son, go along with your brother and sister-in-law. Like how? Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. If somebody asks you, what's your name? Don't say my name is D. Lakshman. You're R. Lakshman from now on. Because your father's role is being replaced by Rama. Jeshto Bhrata Pitru Samaha. The eldest of the brothers is equivalent to the father. So your R. Lakshmana from now on. Ramam Dasharatham Vidhi. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. If somebody asks you, who is your mother? Don't ever say that Sumitra is my mother. Mam Vidhi Janakatmajam. Sita, Janaka's daughter, is your mother. Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi. Do not think that your Aadhaar card shows Ayodhya Cross Street, Ayodhya Main Road, Ayodhya now. Wherever you go, that place is Ayodhya to you. Ayodhyam Atavim Vidhi. Now look at this sentence, very beautiful message. But it is conveyed in poetic style. In poetry, you will have to restrict yourself. If it is Anushtup Chandas, you will have 4 parts to the shloka. Each part will have 8 aksharas. 8 into 4, 32. 32 is a very unique number in maths because it's both a happy number and a Reynolds number. Why? Because you've got 1 power 1 plus 2 power 2 plus 3 power 3. X power x plus y power y plus z power z. 1 power 1 plus 2 power 2 plus 3 power 3 is 32. It is also x power y plus y power x. 2 power 4 plus 4 power 2 is also 32. So the only number that satisfies being both these formula is 32. That is why you have 32 Brahma Vidyas. So we have 32 aksharas, which is Anushtup Chandas. So look at this verse. If it's a verse, poetry has to stick to that aksharam. Prosody, we call it Chandas. So it has to stick to a chandas. That is why in Vishnu Sahasranamam we say Anushtup Chandaha Mahavishnu Paramatma Shriman Narayano Devata Amritam Shudbhavo Banuruti Bijam Devaki Nandana Srashteti Shaktihi Udbhava Kshobano Deva Iti Paramo Mantraha. We restrict it to Anushtup Chandas. So in poetry you have to restrict, but people don't speak that way. See, do we speak in poetry? See, I have to ask water from my mother. I'll say, Ma, give me water. Oh, the one who's walking on this earth with the gait of a swan. Go fill one of the containers with one of the 5 elements and walk with the same gait towards me with your lotus. She'll be confused. She wouldn't even know what I want. I have to simply ask for water. So, lifestyle in Ramayana was as simple as how we think now. But Valmiki has made it poetic. Please remember, he has reported that reporting is in the form of poetry, because poetry, padyam, is easier to memorize and remember. When we didn't have a lot of written inventory, the only way that knowledge could remain sustained and get nourished was Shruti and Smriti. You listen and you remember. There was no concept of written notes. Giti Shigri Shirakkampi Tatha Likita Patakaha Anarthagnaha Alpakanti cha Shadete Patakadamaha, says Govindaraja in his commentary called Bhushanam. So Valmiki takes the steps to report the essence of Rama's lifestyle in the form of a beautiful poetry. So this is how we have Srimad Ramayanam, which is a compendium of 24,000 verses distributed into 7 cantos. We have got Balakandam, Ayodhya Kandam, Aranya Kandam, Kishkindha Kandam, Sundara Kandam, Yuddha Kandam, Uttara Kandam. Put together, we have 24,000 verses. Valmiki had an additional task. He knew that the person whom he's made the protagonist is a Rama. Rama comes in the lineage of Surya, Ikshvaku Vamsha Prabhavaha, Ramo Nama Janaishrutaha. So he comes in the lineage of Surya, Surya Vamsham. Interestingly, this is a depiction of Modhera, which is a sun temple. This entire region between the lower part of Kashmir and the upper part of Maharashtra, that extends till some parts of Odisha, Bihar, and goes up to Multan in Pakistan, is over and above the Tropic of Cancer. So when sun's rays fall in this particular belt, sun is called Shaura. So Shaura Rashtram is Shaurashtram. So that is how you have the Shaura belt here. And when invasions happened between the 10th and the 11th centuries and extended till the 16th century, one big section of people from Shaurashtra belt of Gujarat settled in Madurai, all the way in Tamil Nadu. We call them the Saurashtra community. And they carried the imprints of the textiles that you see on the walls of the stepwell of Patan. So those stepwell patterns are called Patola. And those imprints were carried to Madurai, and that became a print called Sungudi in Madurai. And that print is worn by Meenakshi, the goddess of Madurai, every evening. And we have inscriptions stating that what all recipes they carried from Gujarat. So we have something called the Ban Halwa. I don't know if when diaspora changes, the culture and the cuisine changes in its own state, whereas they carry those memories. So this is called Shaura belt. That is why Multan, when the Uzbek traveler called Al-Biruni in the 10th, 11th century, he records Multan, Mulasthanam in Pakistan. Mulasthanam is Multan. So in Multan, he records of a beautiful sun temple where the central image in gold with rubies in the eyes was floating in the mid-air because of magnets placed in the top and bottom to arrange. So he makes a record. So from the temple of Multan to Surya, to Martanda Surya temple of the 8th century in Kashmir, to Modhera in Gujarat, to the Dev temple where Surya Shatakam was written by the poet called Mayura Kavi, to Konark temple in Odisha. So we have a list of Surya temples. So that is why a ragam was also formed. The way you sing, a ragam called Saurashtram. And Saurashtram denotes the raga for Shaura, which is Surya. Surya is called Ravi. And today is the day of sun, Sunday, Ravi Varam. Now, this being the history of poetry, we have in Srimad Ramayanam, Rama coming in the lineage of Surya. 7.5 minutes back, I was talking to you about a chandas called Anushtup Chandas. You remember? How many aksharas did I say it has? And how many parts? Each part having how many aksharas? 8. Good. You should remember. So, if you take 1/4 of it out, how many letters will you be left with? 24. 32 से 25% निकाल दिया तो बाकी रहेगा 24. Any shloka with 24 aksharas is called Gayatri. Gayatri is the name of a format. Gayatri Chandas. Gayatri Chandasam Mata, says Vedam. So for every devata in Sanatana Dharma, we have a Gayatri mantra. Narayanaya vidmahe vasudevaya dhimahi tanno Vishnu prachodayat. This is Vishnu Gayatri. Mahadevyai cha vidmahe Vishnu patni cha dhimahe tanno Lakshmi prachodayat. This is Lakshmi Gayatri. Tatsa viturvarenyam bhargaha devasya dhimahi is Surya Gayatri. You invoke Surya there. See, phones are of two types. One is an Android, largely, and the second is an iPhone. Okay, iPhone has Kaivalyam because it talks about Jiva I, right? Jivatma. So Swayam Prakashatva. So it is iPhone. And then you have Android. Most of the phones, right hand side, if you keep pressing, you will get an option to switch it off. Okay. And the second option is you have the increase and the decrease volume button on the left. Most of the phones have it on the Vame Anko, left hand side. Or the third option is, if there's this flight mode, plane mode. So, nobody will disturb you. So you have three options. Now, coming back to Surya Gayatri, how many aksharas? 24. Surya Gayatri is a Gayatri invoking Surya. Rama comes in the lineage of Surya. So Rama's history biography is Ramayanam. So now what Valmiki did was, alongside reporting, writing, composing and compiling, he took up the Herculean task of giving certain riddles. Prahelika it is called in Sanskritam. So you have 24,000 verses in Ramayanam, verse 1 to verse 1000, verse 1001 to verse 2000, verse 2001 to verse 3000, verse 3001 to verse 4000. Take verse 1, 1001, 2001, 3001. You will get till verse 23,001. Correct? One say 23,001. How many verses we have now? 24, because 1 to 23,001. Mark the first letter of all these shlokas, put them together, you get the Surya Gayatri. So this is a secret in Ramayanam. Tapaswadhyaya, first shloka, verse 1. Tapaswadhyaya niratam, tapasvi vagvidam varam, naradam paripapracha valmikir munipungavam. Verse 1. What is the first letter? Ta. Tat sa viturvarenyam ta. Tat sa. Sahatva rakshasan sarvan. 1001th verse. Sa. Vi. Vishwamitrastu dharmatma. Vi. So if you take all these letters, you get Tat Saviturvareniyam. So Valmiki was also a person who was the earliest of the coders. He coded, right? Giving us the task of deciphering that cryptic code. So Ramayanam is a treasure trove in itself. That said, generally when you present the biography of someone, somebody who's extremely critical, vital, very important, inseparable from the storyline of that particular work, you may want to introduce at the start itself. But Valmiki is a very good director who believes in his direction skill, who introduces somebody as critical, as vital, as important as Hanuman only in the second half. Balakandam 2500 verses, no Hanuman. Ayodhya Kandam, what happened in 1 month, no Hanuman. Remember, the circumstances that led to Rama's birth, because the father Dasharatha wanted children, he was worried. So he performed Ashwamedham, later Putrakameshti. So the circumstances that led to Rama's birth, the yagas that were performed, birth of the children, Girvanahi, Arthyamanaha, Dashamukhanidhanam, Kosaleshvrishya Shringe, Putriyam Ishtimishtva, Dadushi, Dasharatakshma Bhrite, Payasagryam. Tadbhuktva tatpurandhishva pitrishu samam jatagarbha sujato ramastvam lakshmanena swayam athabaratena api shatrughna namna. So you have these 4 children born. Now all these instances, how these boys grew up, how they spent their boyhood, how they all spent their boyhood. And later when Rama was 12 years of age, the father was worried that his son was not married. Darakriyam prati, oh my son is not married at the age of 12. Then he got him married, and then they lived in Ayodhya for another set of 12 years. The best cost-cutting measure. He got all the 4 sons married on the same day. Return gives 8 ki hona chahiye na. So you can do one Sangeet, you can do one, everything is one. So you don't have to spend on four. So the best of the economic giants of those days. So 12 years post marriage, the four couples lived happily in Ayodhya. So 12 they were married, 12 they lived happily. So Rama was 24, turning 25. So for 25 years of his life, 2500 verses of Balakandam. Now, after Dasharatha plans to coronate him, Manthara from Kekeya Desham, the current day Jalalabad, in the upper parts of Afghanistan, over and above Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, that was called Kekeya. From there, Manthara, the nanny of those days, because she was the one who kind of nourished Kaikeyi in her young days. She was the Montessori teacher. So Manthara comes, she brainwashes Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi asks for two boons from Dasharatha. Dasharatha, Right Honorable V.S. Srinivasa Shastri used to state, was a king who used to promise in haste and repent in leisure. उन्होंने 2 बार दे दिया. Alongside, he should have given an expiry date. He didn't give. So it was perennial, perpetual. So she sought those two boons. And then Dasharatha had to succumb to it, called Rama, saying that there's a change in the plan. Plan A was to make you the king. Plan B is to put you to the forest. Rama, being so very obedient, he said, I will go. Had it been Krishna, I would have sued him in the court. So Rama leaves, then Sita joins, so does Lakshmana. Now they leave Ayodhya, they go to Shringiberapuram where they meet Guha, they go to Bharadwaja Ashramam, which is the current day Prayagraj, then they go to Chitrakuta where they stayed by the banks of river Mandakini. All this happened in 1 month. I told you for 24 years, 2500 verses. For 1 month, 6000 verses. Ayodhya Kandam. See the amount of depth that Kandam will give. Then they go to the forest, Aranyam. Aranya is forest. So they managed to go to the ashram of Sutikshna, Sharabhanga, Agastya, Valmiki. So they travel through the path, rugged path infested with thorns and stones of Madhya Pradesh and reach the upper parts of Maharashtra near a place called Nashik Panchavati. So this portion, they spent 13 years out of their 14 years. For that 2500 verses called Aranya Kandam. Towards the end of Aranya Kandam, where the 14th year begins, is when Shurpanaka comes. She expresses her love. Rama directs her to Lakshmana. Lakshmana and Rama play shuttle. She feels very humiliated. She wants to kill Sita. Lakshmana stops her, humiliates her. She goes, brings her brothers called Karadushana and Trishiras from the current day Janasthana called Nagpur. And then they all come and fight. They are unable to vanquish Rama. Then she goes and complains and describes the beauty, the blemishless beauty of Sita to Ravana. Ravana, being the predator that he was, he seeks the help of his estranged uncle called Maricha, who goes as a gem-studded golden deer to lure Sita. Sita asks for the deer. Rama follows the deer. Lakshmana goes in order to protect Rama. And there Sita, she doesn't draw any, there's no Lakshman Rekha. I've been telling this everywhere. No Lakshman Rekha. This line, meditating, then fire will come, VFX, nothing. All this doesn't happen in Ramayana. Is very practical. We just because we want to sell movies and serials, we make it very animated. It's a simple case of kidnap. So this man comes, he kidnaps, he leaves traces, and then Rama comes in the due course. He sees a bird. At times, animals are much more loyal than human beings. Most of the times, I could say every other time, humans are never loyal. So the bird, the scavenger bird called Jatayu, places his loyalty to Rama. He departs, Gachalokan Anuttaman. Then Rama seeks the help of Shabari. He comes to the ashram of Shabari. What was her name? Shabari. Shabari is not her name. Shabara means the hunter clan. So anybody who belongs to the hunter clan is called Shabari. It was not her name. So what Ramayana says is Kapi Shabari. She was a nameless lady. Rama didn't even inquire what her name was. But he ensured that she was very hospitable and he accepted her hospitality. Kapi Shabari. So he goes to Shabari's ashramam. This is called Aranya Kandam. Again, 2500 verses. So 2500 verses Balakandam. 4,000 to 6,000 verses. There are differences in the critical edition of Ayodhya Kandam. 2,500 verses of Aranya Kandam. No Hanuman at all. Not even a trace. Now, when I say this, some enthusiastic, very, very good minding and very goodwill parents come and say, no, in Chota Bheem and Chota Hanuman, they so Please don't make those as our Pramana Granthas. They're just good for a watch. That's all. Now, there's no Hanuman. Now, Rama from Maharashtra enters Karnataka. I belong to Bangalore, so I have to take that extra time to speak about my state. So, he enters Karnataka. And as he enters Karnataka, it's called Karnata. In Sanskritam, Karneshu Atati iti Karnata. See, it is believed that poets of high caliber lived in the state of Karnataka. Many of the Astikas are standing there. There are many seats here in the front. Please do come, sir. நிறைய இருக்கு முன்னாடியே வாங்க இங்க நிறைய இருக்கு. So Karneshu Atati, when the goddess, the devata of victory, listens to the poetry written by the poets of Karnataka, it seems her earrings jingle in happiness. When she listens to the news of triumph, victory by the kings, Rashtrakutas, Hoysalas, Vijayanagaras, it seems she nods her head. Because her head keeps nodding and the earrings keep jingling, Karneshu, her ears, Atati, it keeps dancing. It is called Karnata. So that is how the name of the state is derived. And incidentally, your city is also having a name which is very close to Karna, which is Karnavati. Right? So from Karnata to Karnavati I have come. Now, in the beautiful state of Karnata was a Pradesham, a province called as Kishkindha. In Kishkindha, there were brothers called Vali and Sugriva. They were good brothers, but Vali had excommunicated his brother for a definitive reason. All that is beyond the scope of this lecture. That has to be dealt in a very detailed lecture. So while he was excommunicated, he resided in one of the caves of the mountains. And he came out of the city, and some of his very good well-wishers too joined him, like Nala, Neela, Jambavan, and Hanuman. So this is where Hanuman comes into picture. So Hanuman was very unlike of a Vanara. See, we cannot exactly call Vanara as monkey. Because the moment we say Vanara as monkey, we will be reminded only of the monkeys that we see in hill stations today. There are theories that they could have been an extinct species which were somewhere between humans and monkeys. So they had some of the human traits in them, but they were different from us. There is another inscription of the 4th century AD of the Chalukyan dynasty where one queen says, I come from the clan of Bali. Bali is Vali. And she also says, why did Vali, Sugriva live as monkeys? She gives a reason in the 4th century. She says, Parashurama, who lived along the time of Rama, had taken a vow, pledge, that I will vanquish every kshatriya that I see. Kratuhara shikhari kantuka vihrutyunmuka jagadiruntuta jitahari danti danta danturonta Dashavadana Damana Kushala Dashashata Bhujamuka Nripatikula Rudira Jara Bharita Prututara Tataka Tarpita Pitrika Bhrugupati Sugati Vihatikara Nata Parudishu Pariga, says Vedanta Deshika. So he took a vow that I will kill all the Kshatriyas. Now there were some very meek Kshatriyas. Not every Kshatriya was, a whey protein having 6-pack person. So, there were Kshatriyas like me. So some of them were very weak. So they thought, why should I get unnecessarily guillotined or killed by Parashurama? Instead, let me not pose myself as a Kshatriya at all. So they started migrating to the forest and started living like animals. So this 4th century inscription says that such Kshatriyas who disguise themselves as humans is what this Vali, Hanuman, and others were. That is why, if you go by this theory, we can understand why Hanuman could speak in Sanskrit. If you go by this theory, why could he speak in Sanskrit? So Hanuman is this character who's introduced in Kishkindha Kandam. But what a grand introduction. See, you can treat this as a biography, also as a piece of literature. How Valmiki molds himself and introduces this character. Rama and Lakshmana, they come in search of Sita through the Dakshina Bhagam. They come southwards. As they enter Kishkindha, Rama and Lakshmana were both, There is one verse in Sundarakandam which suggests that Rama's height was 8 feet. There is one verse where Hanuman says, even if we go by a conservative means, 7 feet itself is so huge, right? So, and Rama and Lakshmana were of the same height. Generally, some of the primitive amateur artists like me, when we draw Rama Pattabhishekam, Rama will be 6 feet, Bharata will be 5, Lakshmana will be 4. I don't know why their pituitary glands worked so. They were all of the same height. Two were very fair, two were very dark. Rama and Bharata were dark. Lakshmana and Shatrughna were fair. Simple. So when Rama and Lakshmana walk, they walk with a very different body trait. Get into the details. Jatachira dhari, says our Acharya. See, inside the forest, when you enter the forest region, Aranyam, from the Desham, after leaving your province where people have habitated, you come to a forest, you are not allowed to shave. You cannot shave within the forest. One. Second, you cannot, as per Shastram, I'm telling you, you cannot self-shave. You should always use another person to shave. Of course, rules have changed now, times have changed. We are working in various corporate firms. We have to adhere to the rules of that company. All that is given. But when I'm talking about a work of the past, I have to tell you what was the norm in those days. You cannot shave within the forest. Wherever you shave, you cannot self-shave. So to get a barber within the forest is a task. That is why when Rama returns from Ayodhya after 14 years, you know what Bharata does in the 131st Sarga of Ramayana? He says, Shmashruvardhanaha. He arranges the barber first. Shmashruvardhana means barber. So 14 years, Rama and Lakshmana did not shave. Can you even imagine Rama with a huge beard? That is how rightfully you have to do. He was not, triple blade, clean shaven, after gel lotion, kuch nahi apply kiye. See, basic logic, if he has to cut his hair, he can also cut his head hair. Why will he grow only that and not this? Right? There's no such rule, right? Thodi to numerator hai, denominator hai. Why will... So, he did not shave. So, and he had hair above. So, that would keep growing. Jata chiradhari. So, he had to bundle them into jata and not let them fly. So he asks in Ayodhya Kandam to Lakshmana, Nyagrodha Kshiram, get me the latex of Nyagrodha tree. When you apply that to hair, it's like set wet. It won't fly. So Jata Chiradhari, huge beard, long hair. They were wearing the skin of an antelope. They were wearing the dress of Valkalam. Valkalam is the dress that is worn from the bark of a tree. So that you get camouflaged in the forest colors, brown and greens. But they were carrying a bow and a quiver of arrows. See, if you're a tapasvi, why will you need ayudhams? See, for example, a person calls himself a sannyasi, comes with AK-47. Ye kya hai, sir? Aap sannyasi ho ya kya ho? So why will Rama carry the bow and quiver of arrows? So this is what that perturbed Sugriva. So he tells Hanuman, you go and check who they are. Sugriva knew that he was not that talented. He knew about himself. One should do a SWOT analysis of themselves, right? So then he sends his trusted minister. That is also an oxymoron. So he trusted his minister and sent, you go and check who these two men are. Hanuman has to go. Now imagine Hanuman's situation. He is disguised. Either he is a Vanara or disguised as a Vanara. Vanara Lakshanam will be with a slightly swollen face and a tail, a prominently noted tail. And it was a given in those days and even today that animals can't speak refined languages like us. They can communicate, but not refined languages like us. They wouldn't know the subject plus predicate plus subject plus verb plus object, and verb is past participle and present continuous. And there's a gerund and an infinitive, and then you will have to use the object later. They wouldn't know all of the sentence formation. They'll just bark. That barking, the other dog will understand. That's all. So language is known, not the language pattern. So imagine Hanuman speaking in flawless Sanskritam. Rama will get an attack. See, you go to a zoo. Ahmedabad has a zoo? No, I'm talking about the animals inside the zoo. Okay. So you go to a zoo, you buy a ticket, you have a camera, you go with the assumption that you're going to see primitive animals which are less intelligent than us. You stand before a cage animal comes as tato yuddha parishrantam samare chintaya sthitam ravanam chagrato drishtva yuddhaya samupasthitam deivataischa samagamya drashtum abhyagatoranam upagamya bravidramam agastyo bhagavan rishihi. Who says? The monkey. In the zoo. For a minute, we may think we should be inside and that should be outside. So Hanuman was sent, dispatched by Sugriva. Now Hanuman has to go and find out who these two men are. So he took like 2 hours to get this guy. So he put a foundation, some eyeshadows to go with it, and then combed his, disheveled hair, and then tied his tail together with a rubber band, inserted it within, and posed himself as a human and went all the way before Rama. He spoke 2 verses. First line, Sugriva Sachivo Nama, Hanuman Nama Vanaraha. I am a Vanara by name Hanuman. 2 hours of disguise waste. See, 2 hours he did all this makeup to tell that he is not a Vanara. But the first line is Sugriva Sachivo Nama. He tells his post, Sugriva Sachivo. I am the secretary, minister, advisor to Sugriva. Hanuman Nama Vanaraha. I am a Vanara by name Hanuman. Ayatascha suvrittascha bahavaha parigopamaha sarvabhushana bhusharhaha kimartham na vibhushitaha. This is his second verse. For this 2 lines of Hanuman, the commentator in Sanskritam writes 10 pages telling what depth Hanuman spoke to. Being in a management association, I should also give due importance to one of the most foremost skills in management, which is communication. Whichever job, profession that you've chosen, communication is an inseparable component of it. You choose to say a recipe. Imagine I am very much into cooking. I love cooking. And especially I have to say, not to impress you all, I just love the Gujarati dishes that we make at home. It may not match your standards, but still we do. So how do you even say a recipe? So somebody asks you, oh, this is very good. How did you do? Undhiyo. You make it during a certain period, right? It's extremely, it has 21 ingredients in it. It takes quite a lot of time to make that undhiyo. So somebody asks you, how did you make that undhiyo? There's an art of telling. Take these materials, take it at this proportion, fry this, steam this, then put this after the other. There's a way you say. Even telling a recipe needs the art of communication. It should be so clear and unambiguous that a person who listens to should be able to get that undhiyo at the same rate at which you have got it. That is what communication is. Of course, in the last 5 to 10 years, we have got Vaikuntaloka Manimantapa Margadayi with us. Who is that? GPS. Wherever we go, that guides us. Even to Vaikuntham. Vaikuntaloka Manimantapa Margadayi. So even to Vaikuntham, you have to ask, what is the way out? Okay, that will tell. That mommy will tell. No. So this GPS is useful to us. Imagine 10, 15 years back, how did we find places? I'm sure children born in the 2010, 15 can't even fathom what all people went to. How did you even find? Today it says, go straight, take a U-turn, take left, this is a flyover, go now. It also tells you where the traffic is high, where the traffic is medium, where you are the traffic. It tells you all of that. How did we find? So we used to inquire with people on the roads, kis taraf jana hai? And you had to blindly trust that person. Even if he's taking some vengeance on you, you wouldn't know. He'll say, go straight, take second left, third right. So here Hanuman, he goes and inquires. And Rama listens to this patiently. I'm sure if you're all management buffs, there's a beautiful book, a very celebrated book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So Stephen Covey says in the 4th principle, listen first to understand and then be understood. Listening is an art. So more than speaking, listening is an art. Ideally, you should all be celebrated. You're all doing that job now. So listening is an art. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmani Vedanam. Iti Pumsar Pitar Vishnor, Bhaktische Navalakshana, says Prahlada to his tyrant king come father called Hiranyakashipu in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Shravanam, listen. So Rama listens. Patiently he listens to what Hanuman says. 3-4 verses. Then after listening to Hanuman, he turns towards Lakshmana and says, Lakshmana, in all these years of my mortal existence, because Rama was roughly about 38 years, because I told you 12 years he got married, 12 years he lived in Ayodhya, 24 ho gaya, 25th year he left, 14 years mein 13 years was in the forest, now he's the 38th year, 39th year he has to return. So he says, in my 38 years of mortal existence, I haven't come across a speaker who's as eloquent as him. He praises to Lakshmana about Hanuman. Just 2 verses of Hanuman were enough for Rama to decide that he is the best speaker. How? There must be something in what Hanuman said. Otherwise, why will Rama? See, Rama is not going to gain anything by praising Hanuman. Until then, he didn't know he would be the person doing the first abroad trip to Lanka. But why is he praising? This is where we need to get into the nitty-gritties of what Hanuman as a character is. I'm sure there are people across all ages, school-going, college-going, people, of course, working population, of course, the elderly population. So we have people across the spectrum and ages here. But you see a lot of differences in the way children behave, youngsters behave. And one such prominent thing in a positive notice, many of the youngsters are very clear that you shouldn't be judgmental about people. As Indians, we generally, the olden days, this person. But, children say, why should you get judgmental? You haven't known that person, so don't pass such rude remarks. At times, children do give such advices. And if it is worthwhile, I think parents should take that with so much of magnanimity. So children say, don't get judgmental. But added to that, probably if we assume that people in the past were always judgmental and only this great knowledge has dawned by sitting under a Bodhi tree today, we are wrong. Hanuman wasn't judgmental. I'll tell you how. When you meet another person, there were days in the 1990s I have experienced. I grew up largely in Bangalore. And when I had to travel to Chennai, there used to be a train called Brindavan Express that would halt in places where there were stations and where there were no stations as well. So it would do both the tasks. So where the train used to halt, and aamne samne baithte the. Now, the trains are, it is all facing one direction, which is much easier. But imagine those days where you had to keep on looking at people in front of you. And the person wouldn't take the eyes off. Probably we would be under the wrong assumption if we are that good looking. So, but we couldn't even scratch the nose for the person's attention is all on us. So, and then they would immediately ask, where are you from? And we would somehow establish a very far-fetched connection, at least of not this Janma, of the previous Janma. Somewhere we will establish, ऐसे पिछले जन्म में जब मैं मांडव्य महर्षि के पास था तभी, somewhere we have to establish. Then we immediately get judgmental. We'll come back home, say, I do not know about the Gujarati culture and the mentality, but I'm talking about a Dakshina Bharatiya. அவளோட மூக்கு நம்மளையே பார்த்துருந்தா. They were looking at us. எனக்கு அப்பவே தெரியும் ஏதோ அந்த திருட்டு மொழி இருக்குன்னு தெரியும். So we will start attributing human fallacies to people. When Rama and Lakshmana come, what should Hanuman ask? Acha, very happy meeting you. Where's your wife? That's the first thing that you ask. Hanuman does not ask a single question. How? See, when Rama walks, attire is also something that decides your status. How would you know the person is of military? Unless that person says, I'm working in the military, I serve the military. How would you know the person is of military? Tell me. Haircut? I do have one. It's a razor. Yeah. The way he walks. Gajasimha gati veerau shardula vrishabhopamau. Next. Walk, haircut. Uniform. Yeah. So you see the attire. So if you think of a chef, There are these master chefs that happen, right? If they call a Michelin badge chef, the person will carry a huge crown, they'll carry that badge, they'll have an apron, it'll all be white. So there is some part of the uniform, your attire, that decides what you do. It was also determining in which stage of life one was. Why? Because we have 4 ashramas, 4 stages: Brahmacharyam, Grihasthashramam, Vanaprastham, and Sannyasam. These are the 4 stages. So Rama is not a brahmachari. How does Hanuman know? Because Hanuman is a Naishtika brahmachari. How did he know Rama is not a brahmachari? Because Rama was draped in dhoti, which is panchakacham. See, only a person who has undergone Samavartana ritual and then married, become a Grihastha, can sport dhoti which goes vertically downwards. 5 places it has to have knots. So it is called Panchakacham. Only a married man can sport that. A bachelor can't. A bachelor has to drape himself in a cylindrical fashion. He cannot put this down. Of course, Manyavar sells for everyone today. That is different. I'm talking about the rules. So this is how it goes. So he was married. So Hanuman knew from the attire that Rama was married. And if he was carrying the sacred thread called the Janeyu, it is a cluster of 3 strings. A married man has to wear 2 clusters. So 3 plus 3, 6. So Hanuman saw that Rama was draped in this, and he was draped in 6 strings, which makes him a married man. You could be married and yet be a widower. Yeah, you could have married and the wife could be dead. Mritadharaha iti vidhuraha. Vidhura in Sanskrit means widower. Vidhura. Vidura means wise. See, Dhritarashtra's youngest brother was Vidura, wise. Vidhura means widower. Because dhava shabdeti pativachakaha. Dhava. Dhava in Sanskrit means husband. With the husband, without the husband. If the husband dies, she is called Vidhava. Dhava is husband. Vidhava, without the husband. Now, Ma in Sanskrit means Mahalakshmi. Dhava means husband. Mahalakshmi's husband is Madhava. We say Madhava, right? Madhava, Masdhava. Without the Dhava, Vidhava. Without the wife, Vidhura. So Rama could have been a Vidhura, married, yet been a widower. Then also he could have won. But Hanuman spotted that his wife was not dead. How? Because only if you're married, you have a living wife, which means she's not dead. Only then you can perform any activity related to fire. You can either cook or do havan only if the wife is living. If you're dead, if the wife is dead, the man cannot perform Agni Karya. He has to do only Bhiksha. So, when Rama was going in the forest in search of Sita, he was carrying a wooden ladle with burning fire, which means he's an Agnihotri. You can do Agnihotram only if your wife is living. So Hanuman deciphered that he's a married man whose wife is not dead because he's carrying the fire. But where is that wife? Because he has come in the forest, which is infested with Rakshasas, he knew something must have happened to his wife because Rama has a melancholic face, sadness on his face. So he must be married, his wife must be living, the living wife must be kidnapped. So I will not ask a single question about her. This is how Hanuman concludes. See, that one word was enough for Hanuman. See, this is what makes him different from the rest. Imagine Sugriva had come. Bhabhi nahi aayi kya hai? Kidhar gayi? Kidnap ho gaya. Kahan? Kidhar? किसने किडनैप किया? पता नहीं. अर्नब को बता देंगे. रात वो 9 घंटे को पूछेगा. देश को पता होना चाहिए ना. Nation wants to know. So, this is what differentiates Hanuman from the rest. He knew what to ask and what not to ask. Shakespeare said to be or not to be. What to ask and what not to ask is also communication. See, communication is not about continuous speaking. Communication is about also knowing when not to talk. Silence is also communication. See, if you want to express your disgust or angst against someone, if you don't talk, you're actually communicating to the person that I'm not interested. So Hanuman, how intelligently he did. One, see these two lines, what all he spoke. Ayatascha, is it boring? No, I can't help but I'm telling you. Ayatascha suvrittascha bahavaha. See, every language has its speciality. I wouldn't say this language is the best of all, the other languages are all inferior. I don't come from that school of thought. Sanskritam is beautiful as much as what Gujarati is, as much as what Tamil is. I don't like when linguists, they say, oh, this is like the best of languages. There's nothing called the best. But every language will have its own salient features. Each language is different. There'll be some commonalities, some differences. Let me come from my own Matribhasha, Tamil. The speciality of Tamil is Tamil. Ra. It's not ra, it's ra. Kozhikode. Okay, so that ra has to come. Ra. But trust me, how many of you speak Gujarati? Okay, a significant portion of the audience. You may not get that ra. Don't feel dejected. Because in Tamil Nadu itself, many people can't say this ra. So, don't feel depressed. You'll have these language warriors. They can't. Andal, if you've heard of a great mystic poetess in the Tamil language, in the Bhakti tradition between the 5th and the 8th century, she says 11 ras together. ஆழி மழை கண்ணா ஒன்று நீ கைகரவேல் ஆழி உள் புக்கு முகர்ந்து கொடாய் தேரி ஊழி முதல்வன் உருவம் போல் மெய்கருத்து பாழி அம் தோளுடைய பற்பனாபன் கையில் ஆழி போல் மின்னி வலம்புரி போல் நின்றதிர்ந்து தாழாதே சார்ங்க முதைத்த சரமழை போல் வாழ உலகினில் பெய்திடாய் நாங்களும் மார்கழி நீராட மகிழ்ந்து. 11 ras, she says. So it's a task. So Tamil has that beauty. But Tamil can't differentiate between the, ta. It won't differentiate between ka and ga. That is why, isn't it Narendra Modi? Modi, right? Da. But you know what the Dakshiniyas will say? Modi. Because there's no distinction between da and da. Now, when I say this, people who speak Hindi and the other Bharatiya languages will get excited. So it's not dosa. It is dosa. Dosai, not dosai. Okay. Like how it's not Modi. Okay. Let me get back. So every language has its own speciality. That said, Sanskritam, what is its speciality? See, the audacity, the arrogance of the language is so much. It says Sanskritam. It says, I am perfect. Kritam in Sanskritam means perfect. Sanskritam means the language which can't get any more perfect. See, the language says, I am perfect. I don't need any updates. See, in phones you get updates, right? Update. There's no update in Sanskritam. It's perfect. Why update? मैं perfect ही हूँ, जैसा हूँ वैसा ही अच्छा हूँ. Isn't that the song of Hrithik Roshan? Okay. मैं वैसा ही हूँ. So, अच्छा हूँ. So now, Sanskritam. Now, if you take up any language, let's take from the language that we have got from 3 Acharya Varyas. This is a very special language. 3 Acharyas have given that. Ren, Martin and Victoria. It is called the English. Okay, that is the language that we have. Ren Acharya, Martin Acharya and Victoria Maharagni. Now, in this English language, let's begin. When we deal with numbers, if there is one pen, more than one, pens. One tree, tree. More than one tree, trees. Kya basic class sikha rahe sir? Okay, so one tree, more than one trees. Gujarati mein kaisa hai? Ekavachanam, bahuvachanam, correct? Anything different? Bahuvachanam is anekavachanam, right? Let's go to Sanskritam. Sanskritam has 3, which is Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bahuvachanam. So you have got Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. So you have got one Ram, two Rams, and many Rams. If it is one Ram, it should not be N Ram. So we have one Ram, two Rams, and many Rams. Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam, Bahuvachanam. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. Simple. Now you have got Akarantavachyam, Ikarantavachyam, all that is different. Why does Sanskritam use exclusively this? Because a lot of things in our life are dvandvam, day and night. Uttarayanam, Dakshinayanam. So everything is dvandvam. So the language felt the need to have dvivachanam. Now, this is hand, bahu. Prabhas made it very famous. So bahu. This is ekabahu. You've got bahu. Bahu. One. Two. Bahu. If it is one hand, bahu. Two hands, bahu. More than two, bahavaha. Bahu, bahu, bahavaha. This is Sanskritam. How many hands does Rama have? How many did Arun Govil have? How many? Two, no? Right. So two hands. So what Hanuman should have said? Bahu. But he says bahavaha. He says, I see more than three hands. Grammatically, he says, ayatascha suvrittascha bahavaha. Why? Because the commentator says, Yadva Hanumato darshanad bhavat chaturbhuja veshena. Only to Hanuman's eyes he could see that Shankam Chakram behind. So Hanuman said, for me, I see. It is like, those special lens that you wear. The Divyam Dadami Te Chakshuhu, says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. I give you those eyes which you alone can see. So Hanuman could see four. So he was mathematically correct, grammatically correct. So he said Bahavaha. So the moment he saw Bahavaha, see, whenever you're in that peak of that ecstasy, that happiness, you won't adhere to grammatical rules. Let's come back to English. What is this, sir? We'll do. In English, we have these adjectives that define a person. We use such words where we say tall, taller, tallest. It's called positive degree of comparison, comparative, superlative. Do we say beautiful, beautifuler, beautifulest? What do we say? More beautiful, most beautiful. Because the grammatical rule is if the adjective has more than two syllables, beautiful, three syllables, you have to use more and most. Less than two, you have to use ER and EST. Correct? Simple English. In Midsummer's Night Dream, Shakespeare says the most beautifulest of the nights has arrived. Shakespeare says that. The commentator asks, how can Shakespeare make a grammatical mistake? Most beautifulest. To which the commentator says, when you're ecstatic, when you're euphoric, very happy, you don't have to adhere to grammatical rules. Because you're in that happiness, right? Then you cannot see somebody sees their son or daughter married. That moment when they see them married, the mother says something, and then I go and say, see, actually, as per grammar, the predicate should come much after the subject, and it's a verb that you're saying. So when you're using it as a verb, it is separating. Don't say separate. Separate is actually only when you use it as an adjective. See, when you use it as an adjective, it is separate. When you use it as a verb, it is separating. You should not say separating. Separating. Two stresses you have to give. To a mother who's so happy about the son, I go and correct her grammar. Same way, Hanuman was so happy to see Rama with Chaturbhuja Vesham. Even then, he didn't make the grammatical mistake. Bahavaha. So Rama noticed this. What a man I'm seeing in front of me who doesn't make that grammatical error even then, even in that nick of the moment. Ayatascha suvrittascha bahavaha parigopamaha sarvabhushana bhusharhaha. Hanuman has said this. Kimartham na vibhushitaha sarvabhushana bhusharhaha. Rama, Hanuman has said, though you are completely qualified to be adorned in golden gold ornaments, yet you are not wearing any. Rama was not wearing any because Kaikeyi let him pass through that metal jammer. Not one jewelry okay, he could wear. But he wore one. कौन सा? Ring. How did that pass, sir? No, sir. Smuggling thoda. Side se. Because that ring was presented to Rama by Sita's father. So Kaikeyi had no jurisdiction there. So she left it. So he had no other ornaments. Hanuman doesn't say, oh, the one who's qualified to wear ornaments is not wearing ornament. He didn't stop there. He said, Kimartham na vibhushitaha. But Rama, honestly, not wearing ornaments is your ornament. Why? Because in Samudrika Lakshana Shastram, there is a rule which says, why do men and women sport ornaments? Because in the days of past, men and women were competing. Today we call it unisex track suits, right? Both men and women can wear. Gold jewelry was also like that. Men and women in Prachina Kalam, both of them used to have long hair. Both of them used to sport. So if I'm sure the Vokeshwara, Vokanayaka, Vokeflix has to go back and check. We all were wearing. So why do men and women sport jewelry? Because even if they have doshams in their body, you want to cover it up, right? See, suppose you have some mark, you will always want to cover it up. So when you have some kind of blemishes, you cover it with golden ornaments because people will focus on the gold and not on the blemishes. Second, it enhances your beauty. If you look on a scale of 1 to 10, you look 2. With jewelry, you look 3. You look better. There's a +1 addition. So, but for Rama, Hanuman decides that it is the other way around. When you put jewelry on him, it diminishes his beauty, it seems. So only when all the ornaments are taken away, you see his real physique and beautiful blemishless body. So he says, not wearing ornament is your ornament. This is what Hanuman has said. Correct? I've explained Hanuman's 2 lines. Now Rama looks to Lakshmana and says, Lakshmana, in my life, I haven't come across a person as adept as him, as a good communicator as him. He says, na anrigveda vinitasya na ayajurveda dharina na asamaveda vidushaha shakyamevam prabhashitum nunam vyakaranam kritsnam anena bahudashrutam bahuvyaharathanena na kinchit apashabditam avistaram asandigdham adhritam avilambitam urastam kantakam vakyam vartate madhyamesware samskara kramasampannam adhritam avilambitam ucharayati kalyani vacham hridayaharini. This passage in Kishkindha Kandam is called Bhashana Kaushalam. So it's called the art of speaking in Ramayana. How does one speak? Ayatascha nandrigveda vinitasya na ajurveda dharinaha. See, what he says is, even a person who has mastered the Rig, Yajur, Samaveda can't speak like him, because the art of speaking is about the art of remembering what to say. Actually, I wanted to tell you one thing. You should not do like this. When you're speaking, you should remember what you're going to speak. There, if I start scratching, thinking, so you should immediately learn to complete that line. You should have the eye contact. See, I'm sure all this is a part of the management courses. Look at your audience, use your hands, don't fold your hands and keep, look at their eyes, maintain eye contact. All this, Rama says free, but anything comes for free, no value. We have to spend lakhs together to learn this. That is the art of Indianness. So here, he says, Avistaram asandigdham. Look at his poise. See, Ramayanam is a beautiful scripture. He says, Rama says, look at the poise, the spacing. Avistaram asandigdham. It is not elongated. So please, I'm just giving these examples. Don't retort stating, oh, do you think you're perfect? No. Cricketers are icons in India. They play really well, but don't make them speak. They will never ever put a full stop to a sentence. Today the pitch was good. It was the batting was good. Finish that line, Baba. One line you complete. Put that dot. Then go to the next line because avistaram. Because when thoughts don't come to you, you will always give pauses which don't make sense. uh, mm, avistaram, asandigdham, adhritam, avilambitam. You should not talk at a very high pace. As some people talk very fast. That is also not recommended, says Rama, because then you are not giving ample time for people to internalize that content. But you should not give too much time. I would like to say 10 minutes later, next line comes, you're giving too much time. अविस्तरम असंदिग्धम गीति शीघ्री शिरकंपी तथा लिखित पाठकः गीति. You should never get too musical while you talk. जब मैं बोल रहा था अब राम भगवान आ रहे थे, as Rama was walking. Why? You sing and speak, speak and sing. Don't mix both. Giti, Shigri, fast, avoid that speed. Shirah Kampi, you should not keep shaking your head. Shirah Kampi, Tatha Likhita Patakaha, don't keep everything written. Anarthagyaha, don't use the word which is not appropriate for that place. See, somebody is having a beautiful marriage at home. They call me, they say a few words. Unfortunately, while I was coming, is this the way I begin a speech in a marriage? So, anarthagnaha, even if it is raining, imagine you're going for a marriage, it is pouring cats and dogs outside. You have to say, Varuna Bhagavan has blessed us. You should not say, I got drenched, I got smeared, oh, it is. No. Anarthagnaha alpakanticha. Your voice should not be very feeble. Shadete pathakadhamaha. For a bad speaker, these are all the 6 defects. Ramayana. See, look at the maturity with which communication skills was communicated to us. And how beautifully Rama has been able to decipher all this from Hanuman's speech. When his wife has been kidnapped. See, when we are in good mood, we will entertain things. Imagine we are in a bad mood. Abhi mere paas mat aana. We say that, right? Rama could have done that. Even at that moment, he learns how to live life. He listens. And then says to Lakshmana, see, I've never seen a speaker like him. Now, the contrast of meeting Hanuman happens with Sugriva. Rama goes to Sugriva. Sugriva, wife, kidhar? Kidnap away, mera bhi. My wife is also kidnapped. Same pinch. See, Rama could sense 2 members of the same Vanara community, how opposite they behave. But when you don't have the exact numbers, you will have to have a correlation. So he had to move with the Vanaras. So now this was the understanding. See how Valmiki unravels the character of Hanuman as a good communicator first. Next, Vali Vadham happens. Vali is killed. I'm not getting into the details. And finally, Sugriva is made the king. And Sugriva remarries his sister-in-law Tara. Sushena becomes the father-in-law. All these details. Sapraskhalanti, Madavihvalakshim, Pralamba Kanchi Guna Hema Sutram, Salakshana, Lakshmana Sannidhanam, Jagamatara, Namitangayashtihi, says Valmiki. So they all live in Kishkindha. Now it was the turn of Sugriva to help Rama, because Rama has helped Sugriva rescue his wife. Now he has to help. But Katham Pramattaha Prathamam Kritamiva, says Kalidasa. Kalidasa gave us 6 Mahagranthas. 3 are Kavyams, Raghuvamsham, Kumarasambhavam, Ritusamharam. Meghadutam. Ritusamharam is an added work. 3 Natakams, Abhignana Shakuntalam, Vikramurvashiyam, Malavika Agnimitram. These are the names. Abhignana Shakuntalam is treated the best. Kavyeshu Natakam Ramyam, Tasya Ramya Shakuntala. The best of Kavyam Natakams that you have to read. If you have time, please read our literature. You will see what a poet that man was, what a dramatist. When Kalidasa gives you similes, no one can match. And he was in the 2nd century AD, 800 years before Cambridge was born. 800 years before the the red brick universities of the UK and the Ivy League universities were born. Here is a poet. He says the flag was fluttering high in the sky in Kumara Sambhavam, as soft as the silk of China. Chinam Shukaihi, he says. Massive poet he was. Okay. Now, you must know the scene where Shakuntala is lost in love and she's lovelorn and she's into the thoughts of Dushyanta Maharaja. Oh, I have a namesake as well. So, so she was lost in thoughts of Dushyanta. She's been thinking of him. That is when the Rishi, who was very notorious for pronouncing curses, called Durvasa, comes. Vasa means to live. Durvasa, you can never live with him. So he was called Durvasa. So Durvasa comes. He says, Bho ho, I have come. Expecting her to give a reply. She doesn't respond. So as usual, he has to curse and go. You know what he curses? He says, you are lost in the thoughts of your man, the man whom you love. I hereby curse you that that man will forget you. What a complicated curse. He could have said, you will forget that man. That would have been made things easier. That man will forget you. But he's a poet. See, Kalidasa is a poet. He has to give a simile. Katham pramattaha prathamam kritamiva. He says, like a drunkard who promises the previous night what all he will do and will forget the next morning. Likewise, that man will forget you. Katham pramattaha prathamam kritamiva, like a drunkard who has forgotten. Had he lived now, he would have chosen a different simile, an election manifesto. So, katham pramattaha prathamam kritamiva. So you will forget. Now, that said, here Hanuman, Sugriva has forgotten. Hanuman goes and reminds. He says, go fulfill your promise. Now the Vanaras have to go in different directions. That is a beautiful portion. I don't know where I can start and finish Ramayana, because he gives the entire atlas to us. He says, those going in the east, I'll give you an example. He says, Javadvipe sati chete. Javadvipa, go to the Dvipa. Dvipa means island. Java. So this, he says it as Yava first. But why did I say Java? Because in Sanskritam, Yaja, replaceable aksharams. Yamuna, Jamuna. So Yava, Java. So then he talks about a Flores island where there are shorter elephants which Garuda picked up. That is very close to Papua New Guinea. So, and then he goes till the lions of Libya. Then he goes all the way to the ores of iron. It's a beautiful way Sugriva gives that for unfolding of the atlas. Then Hanuman goes to Dakshina Bhagam, because our focus is Hanuman. Now imagine Hanuman's situation. Hanuman has been given the task, like rest of the Vanaras, Operation Sita. Go find Sita and come. How does Sita look? No profile photo. Her profile is locked. How will Hanuman know? Imagine Hanuman's situation. He comes from a boys only school. Not a co-ed. He comes from a boys only school. He learnt under Surya Devata. How will he know how Sita looks? And Rama says, go find Sita. No, I would have said, no sir, mere se nahi ho payega. Main nahi jaunga. But Hanuman took it upon himself. Okay, I'll try. One. So nothing related to Sita's ornaments is given to Hanuman. It is only Rama's ring which is given to Hanuman. See, that is an added task. First, you have to go in search. You have to keep that carefully. See, some people are adept in losing things. Had he given to me, I would have lost. First 1 hour itself, I would have lost that ring. Now, more than searching for Sita, I have to search for the ring first. So, Hanuman has to search for Sita, retaining that ring. First task. And he has to go to a new geography. See, he was restricted only till the outer ring road of Bangalore. Because if you go in outer ring road of Bangalore, you'll keep searching perennially. The traffic. I come from that beautiful city. I'm very proud of my city. Whenever you come to our city, we won't let you go out. We keep you within the boundaries. So Hanuman has to go in search for Anjana Devi, Hanuman's mother. It was a proud moment. She told her friends, Nan maga foreign hogta idane. My son is going to foreign. For her, it was like abroad trip. So Hanuman has to go. Now, Hanuman had one limitation. Unless and until somebody reminds him of his potential, he wouldn't know. So he needed motivation speakers. I could have played that role that way. So, Hanuman, you can do it. So, Jambavan does that. And Hanuman has to take off from a hillock, which is called Mahendragiri Parvatam, which is found in that juncture of Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats. If you know the southern state of Tamil Nadu, there's a place called Tirunelveli. Near Tirunelveli is a village called Tirukkurungudi. That Tirukkurungudi is the T in TVS. Tirukkurungudi, Vengarai, Sundaramayangar and Sons is TVS. So they belong to the village called Tirukkurungudi. Hanuman had to take off from that place. Now, how did he take off? He needed motivation. That is where you had an age-old, the Dumbledore of those days, called Jambavan, who says, Hanuman, you can do it. Realize your potential. Hanuman propels like a rocket. Now, you can either take off or you propel. He propelled. Why? Because Valmiki says when he propelled, the shrubs and the herbs around Hanuman, which were there rooted in the ground, because of that sudden push, he levitated, he propelled those shrubs and herbs. They all were uprooted because of the force, sudden force. They flew to a certain distance along with Hanuman and then fell back to the ground. Gravitational pull, they all fell. Valmiki describes this. Look at the beauty of Valmiki. The shrubs and the herbs that were uprooted because of Hanuman's force flew to a certain height and then fell back to the ground. Like, yes, he's a poet, he has to give a simile. Like how the guests in a house have to go outside and bid farewell to their guest and then come back. See, he brings in that value. This is the simile of Valmiki. Hanuman goes. Now there are three impediments that he comes across, very prominent impediments. One is a mountain which is not completely submerged into the oceanic waters. It is called Mainaka Parvatam. Mainaka Parvatam, it seemed to Hanuman, who was very good as a communicator and very, very good at deciphering body language, that this insentient object called the mountain was trying to hint at Hanuman, stating that 3 days, 2 nights, 9 only, come inside. It's an offer. Thoda transit mein jao. Your flight can't take that long. You have to either stop at Frankfurt if it's a Lufthansa, if it's stop, take rest and go. Hanuman realizes that the insentient object is trying to hint rest. You know what he did? He went and placed his hand and embraced one of its peaks and left. Next, he comes across another impediment, an obstacle called Surasa, which is a poisonous snake. The snake was trying to, because he was trying to levitate, Hanuman, see, this is where we say that Hanuman flew. But there is another theory that he could have swam very fast because water snakes are prone. So Hanuman, it is there he uses his intellect, Vayuputraha sa buddhiman, to escape the fangs of the snake. How does he do that? He tries to squeeze himself, get inside its mouth and then come out. Sukshma रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत सम भाई सहस बदन तुमरो यश गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद शारद सहित ऐसा यम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा राम लक्ष्मण जानकी जय बोलो हनुमान की. Hanuman, he beautifully manages to leave Surasa using his intellect. And finally, when he tries to reach very close to Lanka, he realizes that somebody is pulling him into, something very iconic of the geographic places that we see is the Bermuda's Triangle. It sucks within. Chayayam grihyamanayam chintayamasa vanaraha. Seafarers, people who fly over waters are actually very adept in knowing which place not to go across. They will avoid certain places because you will suddenly get water currents. You will get something that pulls you in, like whirlpools. So Hanuman is being pulled into one such force called Simhika. There it is believed in Ramayanam that he took the name of Rama, whom he had extreme devotion to, and wins over that impediment and comes. So in the middle of the night, he comes across three impediments: Mainaka, Parvatam, Surasa, Nagamata, Simhika, Chayagrahi. This is very indicative of life. See, in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, having a government job was like a big thing. Oh, this man is working for the government. They will actually do archana for you. You're working for the government. So, and then slowly when, private sector started opening itself and then you had MNCs come. Today, staying in one job in one company for more than 2 years, there's some problem with that person. एक ही job में 2 साल कैसा है? He's redundant. I think his skill set should be really low because he's been in the same job. But my grandfather served the Imperial Bank, State Bank of India, for 39 years in one place. We can't even fathom. So, this being the state, today, startup is the norm. I have a startup, something, this shawl, okay, this thread can be used for therapy sessions. There'll be one small startup for that. Thread therapy. For everything, there's a startup. And, parents are generally, very protective of their children. They will feel, okay, why does this man want to get into something new? But you can't tell that to you. So the son or daughter will come and say, I'm planning to begin a startup. Fine. Have you done the proper research? Do you think this will yield well? Do you think this will fit good for the matrimony profile? Then the boy or the girl have to convince, no problem, I'm not planning to get married, so it doesn't matter. So the first step is convincing the parents or the kith and kin around you that your idea is good. So the first impediment comes from your own family. That is how Mainaka came as a love impediment. Hanuman won through love. So when an impediment comes through love, we use love. So Hanuman said, don't worry, I embrace you. So when somebody says, you are an engineer and you did your fellowship later, and why lectures on Ramayana? I said, AMA is there to support. So, So, you always use nice words to convince. The first impediment. When your parents say something, you don't reply, how dare you ask? Because she's saying it out of concern. Hanuman used the technique 1. Second will come an obstacle that is trying to test your intellect and skills. Like that Surasa, Nagamata. Hanuman uses buddhi then, intellect. Third will come an impediment which is truly an impediment, really a vengeful one. That time you have to trust in God. When things go beyond your realm of understanding and control, the only thing that can protect you is devotion, is my opinion. I'm not thrusting it upon someone. So, because I also give a lot of lectures in Tamil Nadu. So, I have to be extremely careful. The leaders are not extremely devotional, but their wives are. So, now, that said, Hanuman used these 3. I was telling you, you remember between 6:20 and 6:35 this evening, I was talking about 2500 shlokas of Balakandam, 4000 to 6000 shlokas of Ayodhya Kandam, 2500 shlokas of Aranya Kandam. You remember? Because till the end of the lecture, you should remember. It should not become like an engineering semester. Now, you know what is Sundara Kandam? Hanuman begins his sojourn to Lanka in the evening hours. He meets Sita, gives the ring, accepts the Chudamani, and comes next morning before the sun rises. He comes. Less than 14 hours journey of Hanuman is Sundarakanda. 2,500 verses. Just not even one full day. 14 hours, 2,500 verses. Look at the depth. 1 month of Ayodhya Kandam, 6,000 verses. 14 hours of less than a day, 2,500 verses. So it goes around Hanuman, the character. Because Hanuman is confused. Who is Sita? See, if you go to a flight, the air hostess has the name Veena Surabhi written. Will Sita have that badge? J Sita, Sita Ram. She won't have that written. How will he find? First, he makes the mistake. He thinks Ravana Patni Mandodari to be Sita. Aspotayamasa Chuchumba Pucham Nananda Chikrida Jagau Jagama Stambhana Roham Nipapata Bhumau Nidarshayam Swam Prakritim Kapinam. Hanuman thinks, oh, this must be Sita. Then he internalizes, will Ramapatni be happily sleeping next to some stranger? This must not be Sita. I have to research. I've searched. I will do the research. So then he goes place after place. He spots a very well-tamed garden called Ashoka Vanika. Being a Vanara, he jumps tree after tree, sits on a tree called Shimshupa Vriksham. There he sees Sita below. How does he know this is Sita? It could be any other lady, right? How does he know? Tarkayamasa Siteti. You know what Valmiki says? Through logical reasoning, Hanuman found out this is Sita. Tarkayamasa. How? When Sita was kidnapped, Sita was wearing a silk sari. Remember, I told you Rama and Lakshmana were wearing Valkalam. Sita was wearing silk. She was not wearing brown color forest dress. She was wearing a beautiful Paithani organza with some Kalankari prints and some Kani to go with it, and a Banarasi brocade at the bottom. So she was absolutely in the best of designers, even if it was not of Sabyasachi. So she was wearing silk clothes, remember, because Ramayanam says she was wearing gold jewelry, silk clothes. No, sir, Kriti Sanon, she didn't wear. What can I can't help if the director is not listening to my lecture. So she wore silk. When she spotted the Vanaras in Kishkindha, she tore a part of her pallu and threw it on them with some jewelry. All this was received by Hanuman and the other monkeys. Hanuman remembered its border. And that border was spotted on her sari here. This is called observation. When you go to a place, you observe things. Probably if you are into one of the investigative agencies, everything matters. How Hanuman was able to decipher. Second, she threw some of her jewelry. Whatever jewelry she had thrown, a replica of it was not spotted on her. See, if you wear a choker, you can wear only one. You cannot have chokers. It will really choke. You can have only one. If she has thrown the choker, then that choker should not be here. She won't come to Lanka, go on a shopping and buy. If it's missing, it's missing. So whatever was thrown was not spotted on her. So he came to a conclusion, this is Sita. Avyakta rekham iva chandra rekham. Pramsuf pradugdham iva hema rekham. Kshata prarudham iva chandra rekham. She is Sita. Ekastha hridayanunam rameva anupashyati. Now he has to talk to her. What is she doing? She is in the verge of committing suicide. When Hanuman meets her, she has long hair. You know, children read the story of Rapunzel, right? She's got long hair. So she ties it all around her neck to the Shimshupa Vriksham's branch, and she's about to commit suicide. It's a very tricky moment for the director, Valmiki, because she's about to hang herself, and Hanuman is seated on the tree. Now Hanuman will be questioned by the agencies, because he's witness to a suicide here. So now Hanuman, he has to stop. If he says, Mata, don't kill yourself in Sanskritam, listening to a Vanara speaking Sanskritam, she will have attack. See, in the middle of the night, you imagine some animal talking to you in Sanskritam. She'll get an attack. Now, how will he stop? See, for him, that was a ₹1,000,000 question. How will he stop her? Now, in the middle of the night, when Sita was about to commit suicide, he says, Ikshvaku Vamsha Prabhavaha Ramo Nama Janaishrutaha. There was a great king called Rama. He was the son of Dasharatha. He married Sita. For her, it was like she's about to commit suicide. She's listening to 93.4 FM. ये क्या है? रामायण गुण कहाँ गा रहे हैं लोग? Because that was banned channel in Lanka. So she's listening to Ramayanam. Then the moment she sees up, Hanuman sees down, he jumps and says, Mata, don't make noise. Ramasya dutoham. I am the messenger of Rama. She was waiting all this long for this moment of mirth, happiness. But she's very wary because she didn't check the Aadhaar details of Ravana. When Ravana came as Ravanananda, she should have said, Aadhaar dikhao, PAN dikhao, kuch dikhao. She didn't ask. No, she's extremely careful. She says, show your Aadhaar card, show your PAN card. When have you filed taxes or not? All this she asks. Hanuman says, see, for Vanaras and all, they don't issue Aadhaar. I have brought something for you, and he shows the ring. That Anguliyakam he shows, which he has stored carefully. You remember 15 minutes back I said I would have lost. He has stored it. He gives it to Sita. Grihitva prekshamanasa bhartukkara vibhushanam bhartaram iva samprapta janaki mudita bhavat, says Valmiki. She was so impressed with the ring. The poet says, even if Rama was physically present there, she will still choose the ring over Rama, it seems. The commentator asks, ye kyun hai? Why is she so attached to the ring? The commentator says, because this was the ring gifted by her father. Mere pita ne, he gifted two things, me and the ring. You lost me, at least you have kept the ring. So that ring she holds very close to the heart. Then Hanuman, he uses all his communication skills, convincing her, Mata, you sit behind me. I will take you to Bharatadesham immediately. Don't wait for Rama to come and all of that. She says, see, I have no problem. But the biggest problem is, then what purpose does Rama serve as a Kshatriya? Ravana came and abducted Sita from Bharatadesham to Lanka. Some arbit person called Hanuman came and took back Sita from Lanka to Bharatadesham. What is Rama watching this badminton? See, Rama has to have a role. He's my husband. Let him come and prove his prowess and valor. Let him fight. I will stay here. Urdhvam asana jivishye. Go tell Rama, that husband of mine and that Swami of yours, that I will not live for more than 1.5 months. Go tell him that. Now, Hanuman says, okay, Mata, all this is fine, but I have to leave this place. When if I meet Rama, he will check, he will ask, how can I confirm that you have met Sita? I could have met Gita also. How did you meet Sita? That is when he says, give me some insignia, abhijnanam, that determines that I've seen you. She gives her gem-studded hair clip, which is worn here, called Chudamani. Twadvatat karnanodyat garudurujava sampati sampati vakya protirna nortinadde nagari janakajam vikshadatvanguliyam pradyudya udyana akshakshapana chanaranaha sodabandaha dashasyam drishtva plushtva chalankam jhatiti sa Hanuman mauliratnam dadaute. He gives that, takes that mauliratnam, comes all the way from Bharatadesham. Now Hanuman has not come to Bharatadesham completely. He's just on his journey. While he's coming, at that point in time, the other Vanaras have been waiting. What is the outcome? It is like lost over, whether we have won or not, whether Hanuman has seen or not. That time there is a garjana of Hanuman. Hanuman gives an uproar. That uproar is so strong that Jambavan looks at the other Vanaras and says, Hanuman has seen Sita. See, Hanuman has not yet informed that I've seen Sita. His tone and tenor, look at that way. I'm sure you're all parents, grandparents. You will have children who are writing competitive exams. I'm sure all of you would have given competitive exams. When you come back home, your father or mother wouldn't want you to explain that 160 questions, 40 of logic, 40 of this thing. They will look at your face. How did it go? Ah, that means you have to pay the fees again. That's all. See, you don't have to explain, oh, I answered 16 in logic and 16 in analytical thinking and 30 in grammar, nothing. That is enough. That tone, that body language, the way you say things. 2 hours later, after a lecture such as this, you go out and somebody just walks in. Oh, I thought the lecture was at 8. How did the lecture go? You wouldn't say that, but you know that the tone. So Hanuman's Garjana was enough for Jambavan and the other Vanaras to decipher and conclude that Hanuman has seen Sita. Hanuman comes to Bharata Desham, which is southern part of Dakshina Bharatam. But where is Rama stationed? In Bellari, in North Karnataka. So Hanuman has to take all these Vanaras, which were extremely anxious of his outcome to Sri Lanka, to Kishkindha and inform Rama. Rama, I've seen Sita. Hanuman doesn't do that. See, certain things are very intriguing and very puzzling in Ramayana. He takes all these monkeys to a place called Madhuvanam. Madhuvanam was one of those properties where Sugriva had made large investments. Okay, to escape the long-term capital gains now. So that was a vineyard where grapes were cultivated and fermented. So grapes, dates, all this is found in Ramayana, Balakandam, Karjuranam. So they use date molasses to create fermented liquor, fermented drink. Then rice molasses. This is for grapes. Madhuvanam. So fermented. Now, as such, these are Vanaras. Stage 1. Now they celebrate December 31st. How will that combination be? So all these Vanaras started drinking. Gayanti kechit, pranamanti kechit, nrityanti kechit. Says Valmiki. One started biting the other, one started scratching the other. Hanuman brought all these monkeys and made them drink. Now there was a caretaker to this property called Dadhimukha. He was the uncle to Sugriva. So when he tries stopping the monkeys from creating a havoc, you know how monkeys behave. They started causing bruises in him. So this man goes running all the way to Kishkindha. When Rama and Sugriva are anxious as to what is the outcome, he says, Sugriva, look at my body, full of bruises. I was been manhandled, full of physical abuse. I don't know what to do. What should Sugriva do? Immediately get first aid, give him TT, tetanus and all of this. You know what Sugriva does? He turns to Rama and says, Hanuman has seen Sita. Rama was confused. What is the connection between your uncle getting bruises and Hanuman seeing Sita? Without reason, Hanuman will not party. So, Hanuman has seen Sita. Okay. Now, Hanuman now takes all these monkeys which are in a very dilapidated state. You know, they can't even walk. They all come. Question. Why did Hanuman do this? Because the Vanaras were so attached to Rama, like how Hanuman was, that if Hanuman has seen Sita, each of the monkeys thought they have seen Sita. So they were in that excited state. So had he brought all of them here, in excitement, they would have caused havoc in Bellari. So he has to cause the defizz. He had to bring that speed down. That's why we have speed breakers, right? So this Madhuvanam was a speed breaker in their excitement. So Hanuman thought he didn't drink. He just let the others drink, so that he can convey the news patiently when these people have gone back home. Now Hanuman comes. Look at the way Hanuman conveys. See, for Hanuman, this is his first foreign trip. I'm sure those of you who have flown for the first time, the first flight, first destination will always be etched to your memories. You would want to unstaple those memories at some point in time. So you would, the first flight, if you remember, as I absolutely remember in class 7 or something, I took my first flight at that point in time when Air India was flying at the right time. So Air India took off at the right time. And, I came back home and then went to my school and I gave half an hour description to my friends. You know what? You'll always add those extra elements. Even if the flight took off normally, you would want to say, there were 4 wings and then about, all these things. All that is, that's a part of your childhood. You wouldn't want to be a great Maharishi. Jivatma is there in everyone. You wouldn't want to say all these philosophy, right? You're a little boy and you will always want to say the flight took me off. So Hanuman, it was the first foreign trip. He levitated towards Lanka and then returned. He had every right and opportunity to delineate his flying process. He could have said, I just went to Tirukurungudi. What an experience it was. Those green lawns and meadows that were just enveloping the mountains, that were throwing fluorescence from all sides, looked as if the flowers of all these flowers, the scarlet pimpernels, were just falling by the slopes. And there I could see the waters that were looking turquoise blue. It reminded me of Mauritius and Seychelles. And then I took off, and well, what a grand entry that he could have said. He didn't say anything. Drishta Sita. Saw Sita. This is what a communicator does. Convey what is required for that situation. Now he says Drishta Sita. Drishta is verb. Saw. To see is the verb. Saw is the past participle. You remember chapter 3 of Ren and Martin. So to see becomes saw. So saw Sita. So he puts the verb first. Generally, in sentence patterns, if you have to be grammatically right, you should say, I saw Sita. 1. Or if you don't want to use I, you will say Sita was seen. Correct. You wouldn't say saw Sita. Did you drink milk? Yes, I drank milk. Nobody would begin the word with a verb. Drank milk and then I came. It becomes very poetic. Drishta Sita. Why did he do that? Because in grammar, it is called ayoga vyavachedam and anyayoga vyavachedam. For example, if Rama had sent Hanuman to go in search of Sita, Gita, Vani, Rani, 4 women, and Hanuman was able to spot only Sita, not Gita, not Vani, not Rani, then he should say Sita was seen, which means Gita was not seen, Vani was not seen, Rani was not seen. Here, the mission is only for Sita, not for Gita, Vani, Rani. It is only Operation Sita. So you had only 2 options in that algorithm. Yes or no. Did you see Sita or not? Yes or no. Because if he begins like this, imagine, Rama, Sita was, batao Hanuman, Sita was not seen. वैसे भी बता सकते हैं ना. Yeah. நீ சாட்டியா அம்மா நான் சாப்பாடு சாப்பாடு அப்படின்னு ஆசிட் மாதிரி இப்படியா பேசுவா. அதனால so sorry, I went into my Tamil. Next time I will learn Gujarati. Here he says Drishta Sita, saw Sita. Even while he conveys the message, he proves he's a grammarian. He's a communicator. At every stage in Ramayanam, Hanuman excels his previous form. He's not consistent. Hanuman is not consistent. He betters every performance. That is Hanuman. And how he performed in Yuddha Kandam, how he is important in Mahabharatam, because in Saugandhika Parva, in Vanaparva, he says that I will be as the emblem atop your chariot. That is why Srimad Bhagavad Gita says Kapidhvajaha. So instead of Garuda, Krishna chose to have Hanuman because he is a symbol of victory, of prudent knowledge. That is Hanuman. So tell me, when we disseminate the knowledge of management to students, I'm sure there are many professors, lecturers, research scholars here. There are 2 ways to do it. 1, I take 4-5 slides. I say communication skills. Slide 1. First, body language. 2, written skills. 3, the tone and tenor in which you speak. That is one way. Second, when you listen to Ramayanam, aren't you able to derive those communication lessons yourself? I personally, if you ask me, if at all you choose to ask me, I would prefer the latter. When something is narrated to us, those skills as listeners, we ourselves can derive. We don't need to go through those 3 points of chapter 7 in communication skills, because we can guess from Hanuman what all did you learn? How to speak, what sentences to speak, how the patterns of sentences should be, what words to use, what not to use, what questions to ask, what not questions to ask, how to use his body language to deliver. How, because there are certain occasions where Hanuman does it through body. When Rama wants to convey his happiness to Hanuman, he does nothing. Apara, paravara, parikha, parivrita, parapura, parasrita, davadahana, javana, pavana, bhava, kapivara, parishvanga bhavita, sarvaswadana. He gives a tight, heartfelt embrace. Body language can convey that. See, when cricketers win, one man will lift the other. Have you seen? They will immediately lift the other person. So these are all ways that you express. So body language. So Hanuman stands as a beacon of communication, of artful communication, of necessary communication, of emotional quotient. I'm sure if you've all been management professionals, emotional quotient is extremely important. So that EQ is so important in Hanuman's way of dealing things. And the way he speaks, everything about Hanuman. Of course, he was very powerful, but you can be powerful without brains as well. Right? He was powerful with brains. And last of all, Hanuman was a later acquired name. It was not the name that he was christened with. He was named at his birth. Because Hanu means this portion is called Hanu. This lower jaw is called Hanu. Hanuman means that one whose Hanu is damaged. In Hanuman's life history, we come across at an early stage where a lightning had struck, where Vajrayudham had struck. So there was an accident that he had come across as a young boy. So he had Hanu. So he was called Hanuman. No mother will call the boy born to her as Hanuman, the one with a fractured lower jaw. Nobody would want to christen. What was his name? Anjaneya. Anjana Sutta Anjaneya. Not the name, because anybody, even if I was the son of Anjana, I will be called Anjaneya. What was his name? Sundara. Hanuman's original name was Sundara. That is why that Kandam itself is called Sundara Kandam. Sundare Sundari Sita, Sundare Sundari Katha, Sundare Sundari Lanka, Sundare Kimna Sundaram, Sundare Sundari Sita, Akshatam Marute Mukhat, Shutva Krishtaha, Tathaivastu, Saramaha, Satatam Hridi, says Nagesha Bhatta, the commentator in his commentary called Tilaka, 400 years back. The beautiful, the handsome Rama, Sundara Rama, sent the Sundara message that I am there to rescue you to Sundari Sita, housed in Sundari Lanka, through a character called Sundara in a Sundara fashion. So it is called Sundara Kandam. So how beautiful is Hanuman, who incorporates beauty and imbibes beauty in every dimension of his. And that those dimensions, however plenty and bountiful they are, an iota of it was told to me to explore this evening in this very august premises by the AMA people. Of course, Aradhana Talks, Srikanth has arranged this lecture through his collaboration with AMA, and my thanks are due to AMA and Srikanth, all the members of AMA, for being such great hosts and listeners, and of course to the audience on such a beautiful Sunday evening in the Kshetram of Karanavati. There is much more to learn, there's much more to explore. I'm just reminded of these words, and miles to go before I sleep. Before we shed our mortal coils, there is so much that we need to know. There is so much that we can know. There is so much to know, there's so much we can know. But the intent is what is very important. How we manage time is our art, and how we can learn so much. So recently this year, HarperCollins, a publisher, published the first volume of my writing called Ramayanam, Volume 1 in English. It has 108 chapters covering Balakandam, Ayodhya Kandam, and one section of Uttarakandam. It is written in English, simple English, imbibing all the details of the commentaries. It's written in a fashion that can engage people across all ages. I'm sure if you have children, grandchildren, daughters in law, sons in law, people across ages can read the book. It also carries 120 illustrations of various sculptures related to the Ramayana across the country and Southeast Asia. So this book is available outside. HarperCollins has kept a stall. I'm sure you can buy the book for your own self, present it to your own self. And one additional thing is my trust, the trust that I manage called Deshika Daya Trust, is conducting a written aptitude test based on the book on the 22nd of June 2025. You still have 7-8 months left. It's a written aptitude test called Ramayana Pariksha RAP. And this is being conducted. So we'll have, as of now, we have 1,000 students who have registered across the world for this. And when I say students, not college going, school going, anybody, people above 80 have registered. They said, I will take up this task. I will read the book and I'll answer. So it'll have 160 questions, 60 minutes. And I will be designing those questions. Take this up. I'm sure in the next 6-7 months, you will get immersed in Ramayanam. Ramayanam should just not be, time pass. We should be so very well equipped in Ramayanam that we should feel proud about our civilization. That's very important. And nothing can make you feel that pride as much as what knowledge does. Knowledge, jnanam, paramam, balam. The biggest power that one can feel confident is only through knowledge. The more you read, the more you understand, that gives you confidence. Nothing else can boost your confidence as much as knowledge. And knowledge doesn't come for free. You will have to work towards it. You will have to seek, go behind Saraswati, and she will come towards you. So one such baby step is the Ramayana Pustakam outside. Thank you once again. I'm sure there's going to be a question and answer session. So that has been timed for 5 minutes. So whoever is going to ask, please ask succinctly. I will try to give a very quick answer, and then you're free to go have your dinner of fafda, khandvi, thepla, and chunda. Thank you. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Thank you. Thank you.
Such an honor to stand before, alongside Swamiji and with this august audience. So we are left with a few minutes for question and answer, if questions, if any. So the volunteers, can you please go that side? There's one. A request to keep the answer questions very brief, please.
Answer also. Any questions?
Yes, sir. So here, uh, I just want to ask that how to engage kids in our Sanatan Dharma and its values, because as a young parents and all around social media and all that, we are not getting exact way how to engage them and give our values exactly. Means we are trying but not coping up.
I'm sure as aspiring parents, as well-wishers for your own children, you'll do the best for them. Whatever you're doing is very good. And we also have to understand the reality that, yes, they have too many things to engage. Never have I ever 4 seasons of Devi Vishwakumar on Netflix will surely engage them more than a lecture on Hanuman. But that said, the easiest way is when parents become role models for their children. See, I'm sure many parents say, read. My dear son, I've got you Ramayanam, read. Good thought. But show them how to read. You read. When children see parents reading, automatically they think this is something that even I have to do. You tell your children sing, prarthana karo, shloka kaho, bolo, ucharan karo. Then you recite Vishnu Sahasranam. A lot of the shlokas that whatever little I know, because my grandparents used to recite every day, I used to listen. It's called Shravana Jnanam. Lot of it was learned, lot of it was heard. So parents, and I would always suggest, get partly to that old system where there are smaller joint families. Smaller. I'm not telling a family of 40 members, but at least have grandparents of both sides along. You learn a lot, because I always say grandparents are mature parents. They know much more. They've seen better part of their life. So small things that the children observe from grandparents will make them. So those practices, so anushtanam, jnanam can only come when you see people practice it. So if you want the child to read Ramayanam, you read Ramayanam. If you want the child to listen to Ramayanam, you listen to Ramayanam. And one more thing, suppose you listen to lectures on the Ramayana, be it in Gujarati, Hindi, or Dakshina bhashas like Tamil, or even let's take English. Don't ever assume that your child is not listening. Because you will want to think that the child has to sit like this and listen. No, that child will be doing something. But 2 days later, when you ask a question from what you have listened, presumably you have listened, the child can answer. Because their observation and listening is something that is beyond our realm of understanding. Because we will think listening means you have to listen like this. No, they will be doing some work, but their mind will be here. So the more you keep such things in your house, my childhood days, morning 5 o'clock, my grandfather used to play a work called Narayaniyam in my house. So it was Sanskrit verses, morning, 5 o'clock. It was very irritating then. 5 o'clock in the morning at high volume, he'll keep Kesha Pasha Dhrita Pinchika Vitati Sanchalan Makara Kundalam Harajalavana Malika Lalitam Angaraga Gana Saurabham. So morning I used to listen. Today, I don't need the script at all because those shlokas are here, just gone into my ears. So the more you listen, your atmosphere should make you that person. Listen, read. So the discussion that happens in the family, just taking a cup of chai, discuss some aspects of Ramayanam. See, the moment we get into, okay, who won this big boss, and I am no person who's averse to dramas or entertainment. Don't think otherwise. I don't demean them. But certain things are just not even worth watching. Okay, but not discussing. Why will you want to discuss Big Boss inside the house? Whether you can discuss Ramayana and understand communication skills better. See, you put the most incompatible 15 people together under one roof, and they all fight against each other, physically or verbally. And that goes for 3 months. And they say the organizers expect in Big Boss people to be very cordial. See, inside the house, 2 days we live together, even we will start fighting. Our house itself is Big Boss. Why should we watch Big Boss? So spend your time in discussing, bigger things. That will, make, I'm sure, as a mother, that will bring a lot of wisdom to the children.
I think we can take up just one question, and the answer itself has addressed to many questions, I'm sure. So, Mr. Sridhar's belief is that true Bharatiya must know about our ancient art, culture, sciences, and scriptures and blend well with the management lessons, as we have just heard him out. And we are really not done of it. I think we'll keep having you a few more times at AMA. So with deep gratitude, I thank you so much, Dushyanth. And it was a pleasure to have you. Ahmedabad will kind of remember this for quite long time. The topic Hanuman, the supreme devotee was a kind of, visualized by all of us, and we were, I think, sent back to centuries back, and we could be there. We actually started from Ayodhya. We went from Kishkinda to Sri Lanka. We came back, so it was quite a long journey, but it was worth it. Thank you so much once again. The management lessons we have learned in connect with this Ramayana was awful. I mean, I'm short of my words. Again, this will kind of rekindle all the times alongside our formal management lessons. Thank you so much once again, and this thanks is from the entire organizing committee. A special thanks to Mr. Shrikant Iyer, who has been quite instrumental in bringing Dushyanth here. And can we have him here on the stage? And may I request the First Lady, Miss Pinky Godiawala, to please felicitate him. And as we conclude, let's carry forward the wisdom shared, reflecting on how we can incorporate in our daily lives and our future dreams. Uh, we must preserve this knowledge which is shared today, and we need to work on it. We need to read more. We need to reflect more on all the work done. We would also, as Swamiji has just mentioned, we kindly have the visit the book display which is there, and have one for you. Gift yourself as well as you to your family and loved ones, and also let us have a gesture as a support to all the work being done as the initiative started by Swamiji. Thank you once again. Thank you being such a good audience. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Namaste.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Kevin.